taking care of what we need to do here. So, okay, first things first, I'm going to show you some dates that are going to be important for you upcoming. And I will give you some clarification because obviously in our remote situation, this is going to look a little bit different, but I'm trying to be as transparent as I can so that you have the information that you need, okay? So first of all, next Friday, the 29th, Mr. Chafin, who is the 9th grade counselor, so handles incoming 9th graders and current 9th graders at North, is going to be in our building to answer questions about scheduling. He's not here to do a big presentation about four-year planning. He's not here to do a big presentation about credits or difference between honors and AP. I've tried to answer those questions, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that today. His purpose is to make sure that if you have a specific question that you need an answer to, he can do the best he can to answer that. Now, I don't know what his schedule is right now, but my assumption is because we meet around the lunchtime that he's not going to be doing a session during our class period. But as I made very clear on the screen, my suggestion for you is if you have a question about placement, if you have a question about testing into a class, if you have a question about testing out of a class, if you have a question about your four-year plan in terms of the courses that you have to take, and I can't answer that or I have not provided you the information. Because again, I'm a social studies teacher, but I've kind of facilitated the scheduling as we get into North for many years, but I'm not a counselor and I don't teach at North, so I'm not going to have all the answers. But we've had a lot of people ask questions about testing out of classes, or I'm already fluent in a language and I want to take it, but I don't want to have to start at, second year Spanish or second year French. There are testing options that I'm sure are available. But if you have something that you want answered, you have two ways to do this. You can email Mr. Chafin directly at the Bloomington North webpage. I can show you where to find that information, or you can send me a Canvas message with the question and I can get that information for you. Yes, Sinead.
If I have a question now, should I ask you now or send you a message later?
Why don't you go ahead and send me a message just so I don't forget it, and then I'll have it down in writing, and I can make sure. Yeah, that would be best. Thank you. So he's going to be here on Friday. The Bloomington High School North Welcome Night, which is usually a time where students and families go into the building. Obviously, for the majority of us, we may have not even stepped foot at North High School before. This would have been an opportunity normally to go into the building, meet the teachers. It's very similar to what we usually do with 6th grade welcome night for a lot of students. This is a virtual situation this year. There is going to be a link provided. We don't have that link yet, but that is going to be Monday, February 1st. Okay. The big date that we need to really hone in on is this one right here. Now, there is going to be a process for you all to do this remotely because we're doing this via Skyward. So my assumption is going to be that on that day, we will do a live stream meeting and one of the representatives from North will be here to provide the guidance on how to submit this schedule, because you're going to be doing it on your iPad. You're going to be doing it by entering the codes that you have seen on that document that I've sent out to you. But that information is going to be submitted on that day. Now, there may be a little bit of flexibility with this because if we're still on phase yellow and we're in a hybrid schedule, obviously not all the students that are in person will be in person that day. But if we are green, and I don't know yet what we're going to be, we would do it all on that day. Just be assured that you are not going to be left out. You're not going to be ignored. You're not going to be in a circumstance where you're not going to have the support through this process, because it is a big deal. It is a big deal to make sure that you get your schedules correct. It is a big deal to make sure that you have that submitted. It's a tedious process. It's a nerve-wracking process for some people more than others, but it's nonetheless a process that we want to make sure we get right. Okay, so my assumption, and I will give you more clarity, so please make sure you're listening to this. My assumption is going to be that on that day, we will have a live stream video and there will be a step-by-step process provided for you to begin submitting your courses. Which means, and I'll get to this in a minute again, it means that that document that I sent to you that has the boxes where you put in the course number and the description, that needs to be filled out. And I would suggest you do fill it out, either printing it out and writing it down or doing it in Notability before the 3rd. Okay, we're not going to have enough time to answer questions about what's the difference between, painting and then painting with glaze. I don't know. I'm just giving hypothetical. That's stuff that you need to ask questions about, and those are things that you need to do the research on for yourself. There's not going to be enough time to, wait on people who are like, well, I still can't, I haven't picked my science. No, that needs to be done. Okay, so that's why we've been talking about this process weeks before it happened. The last thing is the Cougar Encounter. That is something that in a normal school year, students would be involved in this program where existing students work with incoming students about getting adjusted to high school, getting adjusted to the building, the schedule. It's a very good program that would happen to just basically acclimate the incoming 9th graders to Bloomington North. Because it is a big adjustment. You have far more students, it's a bigger building, navigating it, your course schedules, all that kind of stuff. We don't know yet about what's going to happen with Cougar Encounter. We don't have a date yet. We don't know what the logistics of it are going to be. Obviously, a lot depends on the COVID situation. But these are important things that you do need to know, especially the first one and the 3rd one. I'm not sidestepping the welcome night. That's extremely important. And there will be a link provided for you on that. Does anybody have any questions about any of this information before I proceed forward? Okay. So I want to just go over a couple things that Mrs. Hyde talked about in her presentation that she gave today to our students in person, just about 4-year planning and those things, because let's see here. I just want to hit on some of the highlights here as we talk about it. The other thing that's, the thing on here about making this adjustment to high school is that it's going to be a big change. If you have questions, reach out to people that you can contact. You should have a method to contact the counselors at Tri-North already, which you can do from the course page, the Tri-North course page. But there's also ways to contact the North counselors, which I will talk to you about. And obviously, as a teacher, I'm trying to help facilitate this process for you. If you have older siblings, and I know several of you do that go to North or have gone to North, that should be your first conversation, because they can give you more clarity because they've been through the process, they've been in the building. Okay, so again, that's your first avenue to look at. Okay, again, the concerns that a lot of people have about high school is because it's going to be a bigger building. The adjustment to a whole new group of people, because you're talking about almost 3 times as many students. You're going to have a whole new group of teachers, a new scheduling process. That's the one thing that for me, who went to Tri-North and went to Bloomington North, adjusting to a 7 periods at that time, 7-period day to a 4-period day in a block schedule. That's an adjustment for a lot of people. Okay. But you're also going to have the new expectations, peer pressure, lunch situation. So those are all things that will be a transition. But just know that you're going to be supported. It's not like they open the door and they say, "Good luck, we'll see you at graduation." There is a great support network at the high schools. And I also want to mention, because I'm sure some people are considering the Academy of Science and Entrepreneurship, the support network there is just as big and as as clear, I should say, in terms of what they offer in their support as well. Okay. Your diploma types are going to be a little bit different depending on what you want. The biggest difference that you're going to see here is Core 40 to Core 40 Academic Honors. Core 40 is what the majority of students will get, but we also have lots and lots and lots of students that end up with an academic honors or a technical honors diploma. Technical honors incorporates classes through Hoosier Hills. Okay. The honors courses, I've kind of mentioned to you already that if you go through the diploma types and you scroll down to the last part on that document that I've sent out to you, it tells you what you have to achieve to get an academic honors diploma. There's like one of 6 different options that you can reach to get the academic honors diploma. Okay, so I just want to make sure you understand that. Okay, now this process could be slightly different for some students. Okay, you will automatically take either English 9 or English 9 honors. You will have a math class. It could be Algebra 2 for you. It could be pre-calculus. And that's one question that people have asked me. If they're taking Algebra 2 right now, what do they take next? That would be pre-calculus. If you're taking algebra now, you're going to take Algebra 1, you're going to take geometry. If you're taking geometry now, you go to Algebra 2. So that's why the math box, there's not a math 9 box on that rough draft schedule. Okay, your science course is automatically enrolled as biology unless you are taking biology currently, and then you're going to be moving up the ladder. And that course guide, the big long document I sent you, some of the departments, including science, gives you that pathway of what you take after this course and then what you take after that course, and what the information is that's provided in terms of the course structure and the number of electives. I've gone over to you about social studies. I know that a lot of people will take social studies as 9th graders. You have some options there. I went over that presentation yesterday with students. I'm happy to answer any questions about social studies options again for you. If anybody wants me to, please speak up, because you have your 6 credit requirements, and what you take your 11th grade and 12th grade years is already set. It just depends on what that first required course is going to be and when you're going to take it. Okay, so you do have some flexibility with social studies, but if you're going the honors AP route, which I know a lot of you are considering, you do have some flexibility of what you can take, whether it's the Intro to Social Science elective, your 9th grade year, and then Geography and History of the World or World History. You have some flexibility with that. Is there anybody that would like me to go over the social studies path again? I'm happy to do it. I don't want to regurgitate information over and over and over again if people are like, yeah, we get it. But if you have a question, I want to make sure that there's clarity about this. Yeah, Sinead.
So just to clarify, you can take Intro to Social Sciences instead of history or Geography and History of the World, correct?
You can take it, but it's not going to be in place of it, because Intro is an elective and Geography and History of the World is one of the requirement options. So basically, let me pull this up again to give you a visual, because I think this will be good. And again, it's a little confusing because Bloomington North brings in the intro option as something that they suggest, and a lot of times it gets confusing. So these are good questions, and Eileen, I will gladly answer yours in just a second unless I answer it already. Okay, so let's ignore these two. You don't need to worry about these right now, and the process by which you're going to take these is pretty much set in stone with U.S. history and government econ. So let's focus on 9th grade and 10th grade. Okay, I'm going to circle the two classes that you have an option of taking. You have to do either geography and history of the world or world history. You do not take both of them. Okay? The reason why world history is not here on the left is because it's only offered starting your 10th grade year, because world history has an AP section and advanced placement sections are not offered to 9th graders. So if you want to take world history, the AP course, then you may consider taking Intro to Social Sciences. The reason why is because there is going to be a considerable jump into an AP course from even like a high ability social studies class. There is going to be that because AP advanced placement gives you college credit. So Bloomington North, in the video that Mr. Muehlhaus made that I showed you, recommends if you're going to take the world history course or even a geography and history of the world honors class your sophomore year, then you take the intro class. But if you don't want to take the intro class your 9th grade year, then you can take that, geography and history of the world. And they have an honors section for that. But once you get this out of the way, you don't need to take a required social studies class your sophomore year. And your option would be one of the electives that's available, which includes that. Okay. Does that help, Sinead and Aileen?
That answers my question.
Go ahead. Oh, it does? Okay, good. All right, cool. Yes, Jack, go for it.
So I'm just kind of confirming for myself, you can choose to not take geography and history of the world in 9th grade as long as you take either geography and history of the world or world history in 10th grade.
That is correct.
And so then in 9th grade, you can take Intro to Social Sciences. Okay.
Yep. And again, the reason why this is offered as a 9th grade elective is because even with your requirements of PE and your other courses, you're going to have a fair number of electives that you're going to have to take. It's just a reality. You're going to have to fill your schedule with electives. That's why there's so many elective options that you have at North. Maybe not as many as your 9th grade year because you have those prerequisite requirements that you have to take, like PE, which I know a lot of people are not looking forward to. I understand, but there is that pathway to there. But yes, you don't have to do this your 9th grade year. You could totally do it in 10th grade, but just know in 10th grade, there is that extra option of world history, which also has an AP option for you. Okay. Yeah. 10th grade is the earliest that you can take any AP course at Bloomington North. And honestly, it's a good thing because the majority of students, even strong academic students or high ability students, it's a big adjustment going to high school, and AP courses are going to be like, I took AP US history and it's like a night and day difference than even like a regular or an honor section because it's much more rigid. You're going through the curriculum much faster. Okay. Let me go back to the document that I had up. I just want to make sure that I'm getting this information to you because this is the same information that our in-person students, and I don't want you to feel as if you're not getting the same opportunity because you're simply online, and I don't want that to be a disadvantage. You do have high school options, obviously the academy. If you're going to Bloomington South, you're going to need to make sure you contact our counselor so we can get you that information for South. But Hoosier Hills Career Center is an option. It's at North. We have a lot of students that do technical classes. They do engineering classes, computer science classes. They have all kinds of different classes, and also classes that are available for those people who may want to go right from high school into a career if they don't see themselves as going to a 4-year college. So there's a lot of different options, and it's so much better. Like I graduated 20 years ago, and it's night and day the differences that we have in terms of options. Okay, just some terms. Not a whole lot we need to understand here, but just know that credits, you're going to get 1 credit per semester for classes. So when you see 2 credits for a class, that means it's for a year long. You're going to have some dual credit options, especially when you get into AP courses and classes that you can take your senior year, like AP, or you can take 2 English classes at North. I think it's L202 and W131. Those options are going to be there for you. Yes, Sinead.
So for senior year, I know my brother did this. Isn't there like an internship program where you can like
Yep.
intern at a as a like a business or somewhere during your senior
Yes.
year?
Yeah, there are internship opportunities. There's also something called cadet teaching. Really depends on what you want to look for. They have opportunities for you to work in the community with a business, to do job shadowing, to do, Mr. Mielhaus, who runs the senior internship program, tries to get students out in a variety of different areas. They also can put them in schools. I've hosted several students in my classroom that were cadet teachers if they had an interest in possibly getting into education. So yeah, that's definitely something that is going to be available to you. Adela.
If I look at the Core 40 requirements for some of the degrees, it says you need directed electives and electives. What's the difference? Because if you look at the course descriptions, they say it counts as a directed elective or elective.
That is a good question, and I am going to need to get clarification about that because somebody asked me that as well, and I don't know the answer to that. So can I ask a favor, Adela? Can you send me a Canvas message with that question, and I will make sure I get the information to you?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You obviously know you have the course guide. I've sent that out to you. The biggest benefit of that is to make sure you read the description about the course, because the course name is not going to give you a lot of information. Don't go by that, because you want to get as much information about it, especially if you're considering an elective. So that's something to make sure that you understand as well. I'm going to show you the contact information for Mr. Chaffin in just a second here. So incoming ninth graders, there's a lot of questions about honors classes. Don't overload yourself, because one of the luxuries that you do have, and it's in the case in both cases, your teacher is going to be supportive of you no matter what. But when you go to high school, you're not going to have the luxury of turning stuff in the very last day of the grading period. Okay, I noticed I was finalizing grades for first semester, and I was still getting submissions and revision items that were due 3 days, that people were submitting those 3 days after the end of the grading period. Okay, due dates are going to be much more rigid in high school, especially when you're honors and AP courses. So you're not going to have this flexibility to just turn things in whenever you want to. So that is an adjustment. And again, I'm not saying that your teachers are not supportive. They're not going to facilitate your learning, but you're going to have to understand this transition, that when you get to high school, it's a brand new ballgame. And once you get settled into high school, by the time you get to your sophomore and definitely your junior year, you're already having to think about, what's my plan after high school? What am I doing after that? Okay, so that's something to take into account to really make sure you look at your options here, because honors classes, and again, it's a personal preference, but you do not have to take every honors course to get an honors diploma. It mentions very clearly on that diploma requirement in the document what you have to do to get an academic honors diploma. So those are just some things to think about here, okay? 21st Century Scholars is an option for students, pays for your college education. I believe it's still primarily Indiana public schools. There is some information out there that they may be extending outside of Indiana, but your public schools in Indiana, that is there. If you want to see if you are eligible, there you need to go to learnmoreindiana.org to get that information. You can also contact Mrs. Howell or Mrs. Hyde, and they can give you information here in the building. We don't need to go over a vocabulary, just talked about that. Any other questions that you have for me? If it's something that you think is going to be more specifically geared towards a decision with your high school schedule that is unique, send me that Canvas message and I will make sure I get you an answer. But I want to show you real quick, I want to show you the the contact information of how to get a hold of teachers at Bloomington North, okay? Because this is important. So there's a counseling page at Bloomington High School North. When you go to the page here, they have these tabs here at the bottom. It says guidance. And if you just click on the guidance button and go to counseling information, it lists all the counseling department contact information. Mr. Chafin is your counselor for 9th grade. They used to do it by names, like last names, but they've broken it down by specific, like what year you are. He's the individual that's going to be coming in here next Friday, and he's the person that can answer specific questions that you may have about. I know some people have asked me about testing out of something or taking a test to qualify for something. It could be with music or orchestra, fine arts, like that. That would be a good person to ask about that. But the questions that you're sending to me, I can definitely ask him and get more clarification, like Adela, your question about credits and direct electives and all that kind of stuff, and also Sinead, your question, and others. But this is the contact information that we have for Mr. Chafin, so he can get that, those responses for you as well. Okay. So next week, Verl, go for it.
Sorry, how do we get back to the sheet, the course form that you gave us last week?
Well, I'm hoping that you may have put it in Notability, but if you didn't, I will show you where to find that. So if you go to the My Course page and you go to, let's see here, I want to say it was Wednesday. Yeah, so if you go to Wednesday's course page, so click on the period 5 button for Wednesday, Verl, right under this video I made, it says the course selection sheet. That right there is that document that has just the schedule layout. Has all the classes that you can take as 9th graders, and then it has this form down here. This is what I recommend you work on filling out, including course numbers and codes and all that, prior to the day that we actually submit the courses, because you're going to have to be entering the course numbers, which again are broken down by semester. Because you'll notice, like if you're taking English 9 honors, you'll see 1 and 2. Well, that's because the codes are 1 and 2. They have to enter them by semester so that the system understands what it means. Making sure you have this started, and especially your alternates filled out on that day. So all you have to do is go to the sheet and then enter the numbers in Skyward is going to be crucial. Because if you wait to the last minute and you just randomly pick something and it ends up being not at all what you expected, there's going to be a lot of difficulty in just, going to the counselor and saying, yeah, this is not what I thought. I don't want to do this. You got to remember the sheer number of students that you're going to have at Bloomington North. It's very difficult for the counselor to cater to every single student's needs. I'm not saying that they don't care. Please hear me out. But you have to understand that changing everybody's schedule would be a logistical nightmare. So that's why it's important to plan ahead on this and know what you're looking at in terms of your electives. And again, it says list your electives in order of preference. Okay, that's big. List the first, like if you have 3 electives that you need to fill in or 2, list the elective that you absolutely want to take as the very first one. Okay. Is there any other questions that anybody has for today? There is an exit ticket I want you to finish. What it is for me to demonstrate that you were paying attention to what I was saying. Okay, it is important that you do the exit ticket. On Monday, we're going to get back on track with our curriculum. I'm going to kind of give you a layout of what I see for the rest of the semester. The goal I have in terms of what projects we could do still, even remotely. I'm hoping that we could do possibly some debating. I like to debate. My goal is that we could possibly be able to do that by also breaking into some smaller groups. But we're going to see how that can work logistically. But the plan is on Monday to get back on track, kind of review a few things, and move forward. Okay. Make sure you send me any questions you have about scheduling, or if you think it's a unique question that you think Mr. Chafin would answer better. And again, I'm going to relay any questions I have to him in person. You have your options there, to either me via Canvas or you have his contact information. I hope you have a great weekend. I will see you again on Monday at 12 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.